Commander Jack Reeves looked out the viewport of the United Earth Alliance flagship as it approached the massive space station. The structure floated like a shining diamond against the darkness of space, with ships of all shapes and sizes coming and going. Jack straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. This was it. After humans discovered faster-than-light travel 5 years ago, the Galactic Council had finally invited Earth to send representatives to discuss joining their federation. "Nervous, Commander?" asked Natalie Wright as she joined him at the viewport. The science officer had been his right hand throughout this mission. "Just thinking about what's at stake," Jack replied. He ran a hand through his short brown hair, showing the only sign of the stress he felt. At 42 years old, Jack had the kind of face that showed experience, a few wrinkles around his blue eyes, a strong jaw, and the confident posture. That came from 8 years in the Marines before joining the diplomatic corps. "Our entire future in space depends on these negotiations," Natalie said. She was younger than Jack by almost 10 years, with dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "The briefing said these Regelians are tough negotiators," Jack nodded. "That's why they sent us instead of the regular diplomats. They wanted people who understand both talking and fighting." A voice came over the ship's communication system. "Commander Reeves, please report to the docking bay. We have received clearance to board the station." The space station was even more impressive from the inside. Aliens of all kinds walked, slithered, or floated through the wide corridors. Some were humanoid with only slight differences from humans: extra fingers, unusual skin colors, or strange eyes. Others were completely different, floating gas creatures contained in special suits. Insect-like beings with multiple limbs, or tall creatures covered in scales or fur. Jack and Natalie, along with a small team of human diplomats and security personnel, were led to their quarters by a small robot guide. "The Galactic Council welcomes Earth representatives," the robot said in perfect English. "Your meeting with Lord Zexthalon of the Regelian Empire is scheduled for tomorrow at the station's central chamber. Rest well." After the robot left, Jack gathered his team. "Remember, we're here to secure the best possible terms for Earth's entry into the Galactic Federation. The Council has 2 classifications for new species: warrior or protected. We need the warrior status to maintain our independence." "What happens if we're labeled as protected?" asked one of the younger diplomats. Natalie answered before Jack could. "We become a client species. They'll restrict our military development, control our expansion in space, and essentially treat us like children who need guidance." "Exactly," Jack said. "And from what we've learned, the Regelians are the key species we need to impress. They hold major influence in the Council." The next morning, Jack and his team entered the central chamber of the space station. The room was enormous, with a circular table in the center surrounded by seats of various shapes to accommodate different alien physiologies. Representatives from at least 15 different species were already present. At the far side sat a tall figure with blue-green scales that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Lord Zexthalon of the Regelian Empire stood nearly 7 feet tall, with a long neck and a face that reminded Jack of a mix between a lizard and a bird. The Regelian wore elaborate robes with symbols that probably denoted his high rank. "Commander Reeves of Earth," announced an automated voice as Jack stepped forward. "Representative of the United Earth Alliance?" The Regelian's eyes, 3 of them, Jack noticed, fixed on him with obvious interest. "So these are the humans we have heard so much about," Lord Zexthalon said, his voice translated by a small device on his chest. "Smaller than I expected," Jack smiled diplomatically. "We find that size isn't always the most important factor in determining capability, Lord Zexthalon." The negotiations lasted for 3 full days. Jack and his team presented Earth's case for warrior status, their history, technological development, military capabilities, and cultural achievements. The Regelian asked pointed questions, often trying to lead Jack into admitting human weaknesses. By the end of the 3rd day, Jack could tell they were at an impasse. The other alien representatives seemed interested in Earth, but the Regelians' opinion clearly carried significant weight. As the formal session ended, Lord Zexthalon approached Jack while the others were filing out of the room. "Commander, my species has a tradition when meeting potential new allies," he said, his translator making his words sound almost musical. "A test of physical capability that helps us determine the true nature of another species." Jack raised an eyebrow. "What kind of test?" "A contest of fortitude," the alien replied. "One that will determine whether your species is classified as warriors or as those needing protection. We call it the Kreltek in our language. You might call it a drinking contest." Jack tried not to show his surprise. "A drinking contest?" "That's how you determine a species classification." Lord Zexthalon's scales rippled in what might have been amusement. "The ability to process toxins while maintaining mental function is a sign of biological advancement. My species is renowned throughout the galaxy for our capacity in this regard. We have special organs designed to neutralize poisons of all kinds. No species has bested a Rigelian in 12 systems." Jack thought about his options. Refusing would likely result in Earth being classified as a protected species. Accepting meant taking a big risk, but also a potential shortcut to earning the status they needed. "What are the rules of this contest?" Jack asked. "Simple. We consume increasing amounts of our chosen beverages until one cannot continue. The last one conscious is the victor," the Rigelian explained. "The results will be recognized by all council members as binding." Jack smiled slightly. What Lord Zexthalon didn't know was that Jack had grown up in Kentucky, where his family had run a small bourbon distillery for generations. He'd spent his youth learning the family business before joining the Marines, where drinking was practically a required skill. "I accept your challenge," Jack said. "When and where?" "Tonight, at the station's main gathering place, a place called the Nebula's Edge. I believe humans would call it a bar or cantina," Lord Zexthalon said. "The entire council will witness our contest." Jack nodded. "I'll be there." As the Rigelian walked away, Natalie approached Jack with concern on her face. "Are you sure about this?" "Their biology is completely different from ours. They literally have organs specifically designed to process toxins." "True," Jack said. "But humans have been drinking alcohol for thousands of years. We've evolved specific enzymes just to handle it. And my family's been in the bourbon business since my great-great-grandfather started distilling after the Civil War." "The stakes are huge," Natalie warned. "If you lose, Earth gets classified as a protected species." Jack's face grew serious. "And if I win, we get the warrior classification immediately, without more negotiations. It's worth the risk." He checked the time on his device. "I need to prepare. See what you can find out about Rigelian physiology before tonight." Later that evening, Jack entered the Nebula's Edge. The space station's famous bar was crowded with aliens of all descriptions. Some were drinking liquids of various colors, while others consumed gases or even energy fields. In the center of the room, a table had been prepared with 2 chairs, one sized for a human, the other for the much larger Rigelian. As Jack walked in, the room grew quiet. Dozens of alien eyes, some glowing, some blinking, some not looking like eyes at all, turned to watch him. At the table, Lord Zexthalon waited, his scales now a deeper blue than before, perhaps the Rigelian equivalent of being dressed for a formal occasion. Jack took his seat across from the alien diplomat. Behind Lord Zexthalon stood several other Rigelians, clearly there to support their representative. Jack's team gathered behind him, with Natalie closest, holding a small scanner disguised as a normal device. "Commander Reeves," Lord Zexthalon said formally, "are you prepared for the Kreltek?" Jack nodded. "I am. May the best species win." The crowd in the Nebula's Edge pressed closer as Jack and Lord Zexthalon prepared for their contest. A 4-armed alien with purple skin approached their table. The alien wore a vest with dozens of small pockets and had a face with features that seemed to shift and change. "I am Glix," the alien said through a translator device. "I will serve as the neutral bartender for this contest. I have been certified by the Galactic Council to oversee competitions of this nature." Glix placed 2 different bottles on the table. One contained a glowing blue liquid that seemed to move on its own. The other held a familiar amber liquid. 4. Lord Zexthalon, Regelian Fire Nectar, as requested, Glick said, indicating the blue bottle. For Commander Reeves, I have procured an earth beverage called whiskey from your planet's Kentucky region. Is this acceptable? Jack examined the whiskey bottle with surprise. How did you get this? The Council has been studying Earth for some time, Glix replied. We have samples of many Earth products. This one was rated highly in your culture. Jack nodded with approval. It's perfect. He recognized the label. It wasn't his family's brand, but it was a good quality bourbon, Lord. Zexthalon's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. The rules are simple, human. We drink in rounds. Each round the portion increases. The last conscious competitor wins, and their species receives the classification they desire. Understood, Jack said. He looked around the room and noticed representatives from at least 20 different alien species watching. This contest clearly meant more than just Earth's classification. It was entertainment for the entire station. Natalie leaned close to Jack's ear. I've been scanning his physiology, she whispered. The Regelian has 3 hearts and a specialized organ in his abdomen that seems designed to filter toxins. He's built for this. So am I, Jack whispered back, in my own way. Glix raised 2 of his 4 arms. The contest will now begin. First round, 1 standard unit. The bartender poured a small amount of the glowing blue liquid into a tall glass for the Regelian and a shot of whiskey for Jack, Lord. Zexthalon performed an elaborate ritual before drinking, moving his long fingers in patterns over the glass, while making deep humming sounds. Jack simply lifted his glass in a toast. To new friendships across the stars, Jack said, then downed the whiskey in one smooth motion. The familiar burn was comforting. It reminded him of home. Lord Zexthalon consumed his drink with equal ease, his throat pulsing as the glowing liquid disappeared. His scales briefly flickered with a blue glow that matched the drink. Second round, Glix announced, pouring larger portions for both competitors. Again, both Jack and the Regelian consumed their drinks without difficulty. The crowd murmured with interest. Many had clearly expected the human to show signs of intoxication already. By the 5th round, the portions had increased significantly. Jack could feel the warmth of the alcohol in his system, but years of experience helped him maintain his composure. He studied the Regelian for any signs of effect. Your drink looks interesting, Jack said conversationally. What exactly is fire nectar? Lord Zexthalon's scales rippled slightly. It is produced from the essence of a plant that grows near volcanic vents on my homeworld. The plant absorbs minerals that would kill most species. We ferment it and distill it using heat from the same volcanic sources. Most non-Regelians would die from a single sip. Impressive, Jack said. Our whiskey comes from grain, mostly corn in this case, that's fermented, distilled, and aged in charred oak barrels. Nothing quite so exotic. Yet it seems to contain sufficient toxins for this contest, the Regelian observed. We call it alcohol, not toxin, Jack corrected with a small smile. And humans have been consuming it for thousands of years. Some anthropologists believe it helped shape our civilization. The 6th round came and went. Jack noticed a slight flicker in the Regelian's 3rd eyelid, the first sign of the alien being affected. Jack himself felt the pleasant buzz of the bourbon but remained steady and focused. As the 7th round was poured, aliens around the room began placing bets. Jack could see small items of value changing hands as the crowd assessed the competitors. Most seemed to be betting on the Regelian, but a few were placing wagers on the human. Tell me, Commander, Lord Zexthalon said, his speech pattern slightly altered, why does Earth desire warrior classification? Many species prefer protected status. It comes with fewer responsibilities. Humans value independence, Jack replied. We want to make our own choices, build our own future. Throughout our history, we've fought against those who would control us, even if it means greater danger. The Regelian asked, consuming his 7th drink. His scales now pulsed with the blue glow more frequently. Especially then, Jack said. Finishing his own drink without hesitation. By the 10th round, the changes in Lord Zexthalon were becoming more obvious. His scales had darkened to a deep blue-green, and a faint glow emanated from his midsection, likely the toxin-processing organ working overtime. The Rigelian's speech became more complex, with his translator occasionally struggling to keep up. "Your species has surprising resilience," Lord Zexthalon said, his words now coming in multiple languages simultaneously before the translator could process them. "Most are affected much sooner." Jack, showing only a slight flush to his cheeks, nodded. "Back home, we call it holding your liquor. It's considered a valuable skill in certain circles." The surrounding aliens watched in growing amazement. Several had moved closer to observe the human, who was matching the legendary Rigelian drink for drink. Natalie continued to monitor her scanner discreetly. During a pause between rounds, she whispered to Jack, his equivalent of blood alcohol, "Is rising faster than yours? Whatever organ processes toxins is working hard but seems to be struggling with the continued intake." Jack nodded slightly. His own system was certainly feeling the effects of 10 rounds of whiskey, but years of building tolerance, plus a hearty meal before the contest, were helping him manage. 11th round, Glix announced, pouring larger portions. The four-armed bartender seemed impressed by both competitors' endurance. As they continued, Jack began telling stories about his grandfather's distillery to the increasingly fascinated alien crowd. He described the limestone-filtered water, the generations of family knowledge, and the patience required to age good bourbon. "My grandfather always said good whiskey is like good diplomacy," Jack said. "It takes time, careful attention, and you have to know when it's ready." The aliens listened with interest while Lord Zexthalon struggled to maintain his composure. By the 14th round, the Rigelian's movements had become less precise, and the glow from his toxin sac was visible even through his formal robes. Natalie checked her scanner again and looked concerned. She moved closer to Jack. "His vital signs are becoming erratic. All 3 hearts are beating at different rates, and that organ is showing signs of stress. This might be becoming dangerous for him." Jack nodded and looked at his opponent with genuine concern. Lord Zexthalon's scales were now pulsing between dark blue and almost black. His 3 eyes seemed to be focusing on different points. "Perhaps we should call it a draw," Jack suggested. "For safety reasons," Lord Zexthalon straightened with obvious effort. "The Kreltak does not end in draws," he said, his translator glitching between words. "It ends in victory or unconsciousness. Rigelian tradition demands it." The 15th round was poured. Jack drank his portion smoothly while Lord Zexthalon's hand trembled slightly as he lifted his glass. The Rigelian's movements were becoming sluggish, but his determination remained strong. The crowd watched in silence now, sensing they were witnessing something historic. No one had expected the human to last this long against a Rigelian, a species famous throughout the galaxy for their ability to process toxins. 16th round, Glix announced, pouring again. As Lord Zexthalon reached for his glass, his hand missed slightly. He corrected with visible concentration. "Your Earth whiskey," he said, his translator struggling, "is more potent than we calculated." Jack watched as Lord Zexthalon struggled with his 16th drink. The Rigelian's movements were becoming uncoordinated, and the glow from his toxin sac was now bright enough to cast shadows. Despite this, the alien diplomat maintained his determination, finishing the drink with visible effort. "I must say," Jack said conversationally, "I'm impressed by your endurance. Not many could go this far." Lord Zexthalon's 3 eyes tried to focus on Jack. "In 12 star systems, no one has matched a Rigelian in the Kreltak," he said, his translator having trouble with his increasingly slurred speech. "You bring honor to your species by lasting this long." The crowd around them had grown larger. Word had spread throughout the space station about the human who was matching the legendary Rigelian drink for drink. Representatives from species that hadn't bothered to attend the negotiations now pressed forward to witness the historic event. 17th round, announced Glix, the 4-armed bartender. His voice carried a note of surprise. Contests rarely Reached this many rounds. As the drinks were poured, Natalie leaned close to Jack again. His biological readings are concerning, she whispered. His central heart is showing strain, and that toxin processing organ is approaching some kind of maximum capacity. How are you holding up? Jack gave a small nod. He was definitely feeling the effects of 17 rounds of whiskey, but his speech remained clear and his hands steady. Years of building tolerance through his family business and Marine Corps functions had prepared him well. Still, he was reaching his own limits. I'm managing, he whispered back. But I'm not sure how much longer this should continue. I don't want to cause a diplomatic incident by sending their ambassador to medical care. Lord Zexthalon lifted his 17th drink with both hands now, his long fingers wrapped carefully around the glass to prevent spilling. The blue liquid sloshed slightly as he brought it to his mouth. After drinking, the Regellian's scales flashed brightly for a moment, then dimmed to an unusually dark shade. The human shows remarkable tolerance, said a voice from the crowd. Jack turned to see another alien species he hadn't encountered before, tall, thin beings with pale skin. That seemed almost transparent. Perhaps we underestimated Earth's biological capabilities. Or perhaps the Regellians overestimated their own, replied another alien. This one short and stocky with thick fur covering its body. Jack finished his 17th drink, feeling the warmth spread through his system. He was definitely intoxicated now, but still functional. He had passed the point where most humans would be showing significant impairment, but his tolerance was extraordinary even by human standards. Tell me, Commander, Lord Zexthalon said, his voice now coming in strange pulses that his translator struggled to convert. How is it that your species can process this toxin so effectively? You have no specialized organs for this purpose that we detected, Jack smiled. Just lots of practice. Humans have been drinking alcohol for thousands of years. Some scientists think we started even before we developed agriculture. Our bodies evolved specific enzymes just to break down alcohol. It's part of our history. The Regellian tried to respond but seemed to forget what he was saying halfway through. His third eye closed completely while the other two blinked independently of each other. The glow from his toxin sac was now pulsing in an uneven rhythm. 18th round, Glix announced, though even the bartender seemed concerned about continuing. Jack accepted his drink, watching the Regellian carefully. Lord Zexthalon's hands shook as he reached for his glass. His movements were becoming increasingly uncoordinated. Perhaps we should consider, Jack began to suggest, but before he could finish, the Regellian made a determined effort to show his strength. Lord Zexthalon grabbed his glass and drank the entire contents in one motion. For a moment he sat upright, his scales brightening as if in triumph. Then, without warning, all three of his eyes rolled upward and he collapsed forward onto the table. The sound of his heavy body hitting the surface silenced the entire room. For a moment no one moved or spoke. Natalie quickly checked her scanner. He's alive, she announced. Just unconscious. All three hearts are still beating, though irregularly. A group of Regellians rushed forward to attend to their fallen diplomat. They carefully lifted Lord Zexthalon from his chair, his long limbs hanging limply. The contest is concluded, Glix announced formally. The human representative remains conscious. By the traditions of the Kreltak and the laws of the Galactic Council, Earth has earned warrior classification. A murmur ran through the crowd, growing louder as the news spread. Jack stood carefully, feeling the room spin slightly, but managing to maintain his dignity. He addressed the gathered aliens with clear, measured speech. I thank Lord Zexthalon for the honor of this contest. Please ensure he receives proper medical attention. The United Earth Alliance looks forward to joining the Galactic Council as a warrior civilization, ready to take our place among the stars as equals. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some species seemed impressed, others concerned, and a few appeared outright alarmed. Jack could see rapid conversations happening throughout the room, with translator devices working overtime to keep up with the excited discussions. One of the tall, transparent aliens approached Jack. I am Counselor Irith of the Luminari. This outcome was unexpected. A human defeating a Rigelian at the Kreltak will change many perceptions about your species. I hope for the better, Jack replied diplomatically. That remains to be seen, Counselor Irith said. Warrior status brings respect but also scrutiny. Some may view your species as a potential threat now. Before Jack could respond, the Rigelian medical team approached. Their leader, wearing distinctive red markings on his scales, addressed Jack directly. Ambassador Zexthowan will recover fully after treatment. This is the first time in 7 generations that a Rigelian has been defeated in the Kreltak. It is a significant moment. I meant no disrespect to your traditions, Jack said carefully. The Rigelian medical officer's scales shifted in a pattern Jack couldn't interpret. No disrespect was taken. The contest was fair. The outcome will be recorded in Rigelian history. Earth has proven worthy of notice. As the medical team departed with the unconscious diplomat, Jack's team gathered around him. Natalie looked both concerned and impressed. How are you feeling? She asked quietly. Like I just drank 18 rounds of whiskey, Jack replied with a small smile. But functional, what's happening now? News of your victory is spreading throughout the station, one of the human security officers reported. Several species have requested immediate meetings with our delegation. I think you've changed the game, sir. Jack nodded, then turned as Glix approached with a data tablet. Commander Reeves, as the official overseer of this contest, I must record your victory for the Council archives. Please confirm with your thumbprint. Jack pressed his thumb to the tablet, and it flashed green in acknowledgement. It is done. Glix said, Earth is now officially classified as a warrior civilization within the Galactic Council Registry. All rights and responsibilities of that status are immediately in effect. What exactly does that mean for us? Jack asked. It means your species may maintain independent military forces, establish colonies without oversight, develop technologies without restriction, and participate in Council defense initiatives. Glix explained. It also means other warrior species may now challenge Earth or seek alliances with you. Jack absorbed this information carefully. What had started as a simple drinking contest had just dramatically altered humanity's position. In galactic society, the implications would be far-reaching. I suggest you rest, Commander, Glix added. The effects of the contest will soon become more pronounced, and tomorrow will bring many new challenges. Your victory tonight will not be forgotten quickly. As Jack and his team left the nebula's edge, he noticed how the aliens in the corridor moved aside, watching him with new interest and, in some cases, clear concern. Word had spread quickly throughout the station. By morning, it would have reached 12 worlds. Something tells me we've just changed Earth's future in ways we don't fully understand yet. And Jack said quietly to Natalie as they walked, for better. Or worse, she agreed. The galaxy is going to look at humans differently after tonight. Jack woke the next morning with a pounding headache and a dry mouth. The effects of 18 rounds of whiskey had finally caught up with him. He slowly sat up in his bed in the Earth delegation's quarters on the space station, wincing at the bright lights. Good morning, Commander, Natalie said as she entered his room with a glass of water and some pills. How are you feeling? Like I was hit by a shuttle, Jack groaned, accepting the water gratefully. What are these? Standard hangover medication from our medical kit, Natalie explained. Though, after what you drank last night, I'm not sure. They'll do much. Jack swallowed the pills and drank the entire glass of water. What's happening out there? What time is it? It's midday station time, Natalie said. And what's happening is something of a sensation. News of your victory spread through the faster-than-light communication network. Every species in the Galactic Council is talking about Earth now, Jack rubbed his temples. I just thought we'd get our warrior classification and move on with negotiations. It's much bigger than that, Natalie said, handing him a data tablet. Look at this. The tablet showed a newsfeed translated into English. Headlines scrolled past. Human defeats Rigelian in Kreltek, Galaxy shocked, Earth classified as warrior species after historic contest. Rigelian ambassador recovering after unprecedented loss. Council Security Committee calls emergency session to discuss human threat level. Threat level? Jack asked, alarmed. We didn't threaten anyone. Apparently beating a Rigelian at drinking is considered quite threatening, Natalie said with a small smile. You've got several meeting requests from other species representatives. Some want to form immediate alliances, others want to assess our capabilities more thoroughly. Before Jack could respond, the communication panel in the room chimed. One of the human security officers appeared on the screen. Commander, the medical delegation from Rigel requests to see you. They say it's important. Jack looked at Natalie, who shrugged. Tell them I'll be there in 15 minutes. He said after a quick shower and a change into a fresh uniform, Jack felt marginally better. The hangover medication was starting to take effect, reducing his headache to a dull throb. He met the Rigelian medical team in the station's diplomatic lounge. The lead Rigelian doctor, the same one with red markings from the previous night, greeted Jack formally. Commander Reeves, I am Chief Medical Officer Vexenorith. Lord Zexthalon is recovering well and wishes to speak with you. Jack nodded. I'm glad to hear he's recovering. I was concerned about his condition last night. It was the first time. A Rigelian has reached toxin saturation in a formal Krelltech in over 200 years, Vexenorith said. We were unprepared for such an outcome. The medical officer led Jack to the Rigelian delegation's quarters. Lord Zexthalon was resting on a specially designed bed, his scales now a pale blue color. He looked weakened but alert. Commander Reeves. The Rigelian diplomat said, his translator working properly again. I congratulate you on your victory. It was well earned. Thank you, Jack said. I'm glad to see you recovering. My pride suffered more damage than my body, Lord Zexthalon said. But the Krelltech results are binding. Earth is now classified as a warrior civilization with all associated rights and responsibilities. That's what we wanted, Jack said. But I'm hearing concerns about Earth being viewed as a threat now. Lord Zexthalon's scales shifted in what Jack was beginning to recognize as the Rigelian equivalent of a shrug. Any new warrior species causes ripples in the galactic community. Some will fear you, others will seek your alliance. This is normal. We didn't join the Galactic Council to make enemies, Jack said. Yet you demonstrated remarkable biological resilience, the Rigelian pointed out. My analysis shows your ability to process toxins rivals our own, despite lacking specialized organs for this purpose. This suggests other potential capabilities that some species may find concerning. Before Jack could respond, his communication device beeped. It was Natalie. Commander, you need to return to our quarters immediately. We're receiving urgent messages from Earth. Jack excused himself and hurried back to the Earth delegation's area. When he arrived, he found his team gathered around the main communication screen. The face of Admiral Peter Hayes, head of the United Earth Alliance Space Command, filled the display. Commander Reeves, the Admiral said, his expression serious. We've been monitoring the situation. News of your victory in this alien drinking contest has reached Earth and caused quite a stir. More importantly, we're detecting increased activity in nearby star systems. Several previously unidentified ships are moving toward Earth space. Hostile? Jack asked, immediately alert despite his lingering headache. Unknown at this time, Admiral Hayes replied. But their sudden interest in Earth follows directly from your new classification of our species. The President wants you to continue diplomatic efforts while we assess the situation. After the communication ended, Jack turned to his team. We need more information about what warrior classification really means in practical terms. I've been gathering data, Natalie said, bringing up reports on her tablet. It seems warrior species are expected to defend their own territories without Council assistance. They're also invited to participate in joint defense operations and technological exchanges. But they're also considered fair game for challenges from other warrior species. Challenges? What kind of challenges? Jack asked. Various forms of competition and testing, Natalie explained. The drinking contest was just one traditional form. Different species have different methods of assessing strength, intelligence, or other capabilities. A junior diplomat spoke up. Sir, we've just received word that representatives from the Krozak Empire are requesting a meeting. According to the Council database, they're one of the most militaristic species in this sector. Jack sighed. Set it up for this afternoon. Let's see what they want. 2 hours later, Jack met with the Krozak representatives in a secure conference room. The Krozak were intimidating in appearance, heavily muscled humanoids with gray skin, covered in natural armor plates. Their eyes glowed a faint red, and their voices were deep and rumbling even through the translators. Commander Reeves, the lead Krozak said, introducing himself as General Drozek. Your victory over the Rigelian has caught our attention. The Krozak Empire always seeks worthy opponents. The United Earth Alliance doesn't want opponents, Jack said carefully. We seek peaceful cooperation. General Drozek made a sound that might have been laughter. All warrior species say this initially, yet you proved your strength in the Kreltek. Our Emperor wishes to assess your species more thoroughly. We have dispatched an evaluation fleet to your home system. Jack tensed. An evaluation fleet sounds like a potential threat to Earth. It is merely observation, General Drozek said, though his tone suggested otherwise. Unless your species wishes to demonstrate its capabilities more directly. After the meeting, Jack gathered his team for an emergency session. This is escalating quickly, he said. We wanted warrior status to maintain our independence, not to invite military confrontation. The Krozak are known for testing new species, Natalie reported, reading from the Council database. They rarely initiate actual conflict, but they do push boundaries to assess response capabilities. And 3 other species have withdrawn their trade delegates from our negotiations, added another diplomat. They seem uncomfortable dealing with Earth now that we're classified as warriors. Jack paced the room, thinking. We need to find a balance, maintain the respect we've earned without appearing threatening. And we need to understand more about how these interspecies relations really work. Throughout the day, more reports came in from Earth. The news of Jack's victory and Earth's new status had gone viral across human media. People were celebrating in the streets, proud that humanity had proven itself against an alien challenge. Military forces were on alert but not panicked about the approaching Krozak ships. That evening, Jack returned to the nebula's edge, this time not to drink but to observe. The space station's bar served as an informal gathering place where representatives from different species interacted more casually than in official meetings. He needed to understand the social dynamics of the galactic community better. As he entered, conversations paused briefly as aliens noticed him. Some nodded respectfully, others moved slightly away. Jack found a quiet corner and ordered a simple water. The human who outdrink Rigelian, said a voice beside him. Jack turned to see a small alien with features that reminded him of an Earth. Octopus, tentacles moving gracefully as it spoke through a translator. Very impressive. Many species want to know how. 6 months passed since the famous drinking contest that changed Earth's position in the galaxy. Jack Reeves, now promoted to Admiral, stood at the viewport of the newly completed Earth Embassy on the Galactic Council's central station. The view of stars and passing ships still amazed him every time he looked out. Admiral Reeves, the Krozak delegation has arrived, said his assistant. Jack nodded. Show them in. The door slid open to reveal General Drozek of the Krozak Empire. The imposing alien warrior looked much as he had 6 months ago, gray-armored skin, glowing red eyes, and a posture that suggested constant readiness for battle. But now there was something different in his manner, a certain respect that hadn't been there before. Admiral Reeves, General Drozek said with a formal nod. The non-aggression treaty is ready for final approval. Jack gestured to the conference table where Natalie Wright, now Ambassador Wright, waited with data tablets prepared. Excellent, let's finish this. As they sat down, Jack reflected on the whirlwind of events that had followed his victory in the Kreltek. The Krozak evaluation fleet had indeed entered Earth space, causing tense weeks as human military forces prepared for possible conflict. But instead of aggression, the Krozak had tested Earth in unexpected ways. They had challenged human ships to navigation contests through asteroid fields. They had invited human special forces to participate in training exercises. Most surprisingly, they had requested samples of Earth's alcoholic beverages and invited human representatives to their ships for what they called chemical tolerance demonstrations. The Krozek, it turned out, were impressed by humanity. Not just by Jack's victory over the Rigelian, but by the human response to their testing. Earth had shown both military readiness and diplomatic restraint, a combination the warrior species respected. The Emperor was particularly impressed by your bourbon whiskey, General Drozak said as they reviewed the treaty terms. He wishes to establish a regular trade route for it. Such drinks are now considered luxury items in our empire. Jack smiled. We'll be happy to arrange that. My family's distillery has already expanded production to meet galactic demand. The unexpected outcome of Jack's drinking contest had been an explosion of interest in human, alcoholic beverages throughout known space. Earth whiskey, vodka, tequila, and beer had become some of the most sought-after imports in a dozen star systems. Drinks that humans had enjoyed for centuries were suddenly exotic luxuries that many alien species could only consume in small quantities. The interspecies cultural exchange program is also proceeding well, Natalie reported, bringing up new data. 27 species have now enrolled, with more expressing interest each month. Jack nodded with satisfaction. The program had been his and Natalie's idea, a way to turn Earth's new warrior status into a positive rather than a threat. Instead of focusing only on military capability, they highlighted human adaptability, creativity, and cultural diversity. As they finalized the treaty with the Krozek, Jack's communication device chimed with a message from Earth. It was from his younger brother, who had taken over the family distillery. Orders were pouring in from across the galaxy, and they were considering opening a second facility just to keep up with demand. After the Krozek delegation departed, Jack and Natalie had a quiet moment to reflect. Did you ever imagine a drinking contest would lead to all this? Natalie asked. Jack shook his head. Never. I just wanted to secure our independence. Now we're establishing trade routes and cultural exchanges across 12 star systems. And the Rigelians? How are relations with them now? Jack smiled. Surprisingly good. Lord Zexthalon has recovered fully and was appointed as their cultural attached to Earth. He's developed quite an appreciation for human culture, though he limits himself to very small amounts of alcohol now. In fact, Jack was scheduled to meet with Lord Zexthalon that evening. The anniversary of their famous contest was approaching, and the Rigelian had suggested a small commemoration. Later that night, Jack entered a private dining room in the nebula's edge. The space station's famous bar had become even more popular since the contest, with a special section now dedicated to serving human drinks to various alien species. Lord Zexthalon was waiting, his scales now their normal healthy blue-green color. Admiral Reeves, he said, rising to greet Jack. Thank you for joining me. The pleasure is mine, Jack replied. And please, call me Jack. We've shared enough history to drop the formalities. The Rigelian scales rippled in what Jack now recognized as amusement. Very well, Jack, I thought it appropriate to mark the occasion that changed both our worlds. On the table between them sat two very small glasses. One contained a tiny amount of glowing blue Rigelian fire nectar, the other a small measure of amber bourbon. A symbolic toast only, Lord Zexthalon assured him. My medical team would be quite distressed if we attempted a rematch. Jack laughed. As would my liver, I suspect. They raised their glasses. To understanding our differences, the Rigelian said. And finding strength in them, Jack replied. After their meeting, Jack walked through the station's main concourse. The space was busier than ever, with representatives from dozens of species going about their business. He noticed how many of them nodded respectfully as he passed. Earth's position in the galactic community had changed dramatically in just 6 months. Back in his office, Jack reviewed reports from across human space. The initial fear that warrior classification would lead to constant challenges had proven partially true. 3 other species had attempted various forms of competition with Earth representatives, but each challenge had become an opportunity for humans to demonstrate their capabilities and establish respect. A report from the science division caught his attention. Natalie's research team had completed their analysis of why humans had such high alcohol tolerance compared to many alien species. The results were fascinating. Humans, it turned out, had co-evolved with alcohol for millions of years. Early primates consumed naturally fermented fruit, developing enzymes to process alcohol efficiently. Then, roughly 10,000 years ago, humans began deliberately producing alcohol. Further driving this evolutionary adaptation, most alien species had never experienced this evolutionary pressure. Their worlds either didn't produce the same kinds of fermentation, or they had developed different biological pathways. The Rigelians, despite their specialized toxin organs, had never specifically adapted to alcohol. Jack drafted a message to the United Earth Alliance leadership. Our unique evolutionary history has given us unexpected advantages in interstellar relations, he wrote. But our true strength comes from how we use these advantages, not for dominance but for building connections. The policy was working. Earth ships now traveled freely through systems that had initially been wary of human expansion. Trade was flourishing, with human goods in high demand and alien technologies enriching Earth in return. The Krozak Empire, once considered a potential threat, was now one of Earth's strongest allies. As Jack prepared to return to Earth for a brief visit home, he received one last communication. The Galactic Council had approved Earth's proposal for a new diplomatic initiative, using shared meals and drinks as a way to build trust between species. They were calling it the Reeves Protocol in his honor. Jack smiled as he packed his bag. When he had accepted Lord Zexthalin's drinking challenge 6 months ago, he had simply been trying to secure Earth's independence. He never imagined that his ability to hold his liquor would reshape humanity's place among the stars. As his shuttle prepared to depart the station, Jack looked out at the vast expanse of space. Somewhere out there, thousands of alien species were going about their lives, most still unaware of humans. But that was changing rapidly. Earth was making its mark on the galactic community, not through conquest or intimidation, but through resilience, adaptability, and yes, the unexpected ability to process alcohol better than a 7-foot alien with a specialized toxin sac. Jack laughed to himself. His grandfather, who had taught him everything about good bourbon, would have been proud. Never underestimate the importance of knowing how to drink properly, he had always said. As it turned out, that advice had been more valuable than anyone could have possibly imagined.